Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you.
I made it through another Southern Decadence, and at least for me, not a chaotic weekend. Like, objectively, during the tours, it was pretty calm. Admittedly, we had the usual stuff, like there was a couple of moments of like a guy riding by on a skateboard wearing nothing but a G-string, a harness, and a puppy mask. But that's not really very disruptive. It's funny, if anything, or maybe entertaining, maybe titillating to some people, but it doesn't cause huge chaos. Now, I will say one of my friends who's a tour guide had a little bit more chaos. She was doing a family friendly tour, the earlier family friendly tour during one of the Southern Decadence nights, and there was another tour guide who just was out there wearing nothing but a G string, which it's Southern Decadence. That's not unusual. The problem was she had a little kid on her tour who would not shut up about it. And at least according to Lisa, for like the next 10 minutes, this little kid kept like interrupting to be like, oh my God, there's a guy wearing his underwear. And like pointing at the guy and being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But like I said, for me, pretty calm. But to make up for it, tonight was a bit of a mess for me. First of all, I forgot that the store was going to be closed today. And by forgot, I mean I somehow totally missed the message in our company message board. I don't know how I didn't see it. But that meant I arrived and looked like an idiot as I'm like trying to push open the door and be like, why is it dark inside? And some of my guests were already there, and they explained to me that the other tour guide told them that the store is just going to be closed today. And of course, I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, totally makes sense. And objectively, it doesn't change my like evening that much, so I wasn't going to make a big deal about it anyway. But the fun thing about this is that did mean they described the other tour guide to me, and tour guides are just we are fun people to describe almost across the board. Like our company alone, there is, the guy with the eye patch. There's the lady with the incredibly pink frizzy hair. There's the girl that's like 6 million miles tall with a cute little puppy. But the one they were interacting with, they described him as the guy in the skirt with the stick who's dating a vampire. And he's not really dating a vampire. He's dating someone affiliated with the vampire courts. But I understood. I knew immediately who they were talking about. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I totally understand what we're talking about here. But that just put me on a weird footing to begin with. And because it's been so long since I've had to tell guests to go to bars and restaurants to find bathrooms and drinks instead of just going to the store, I will admit I kept forgetting to warn them, like, you need to buy something if you're going to go pee in the bar. That's the way this works. So a couple people went off to go, like, pee and came back being like, they said I had to buy a drink. I'm like, yeah, no shit, it's a bar. What did you think? But the real difficult moment started when the very first people who arrived there, the ones who actually told me why the store was closed, we were having a lovely conversation, just chatting, enjoying our time, and they decided to go to the bar, and that's fine, and they disappeared, and I was talking to other guests, and I got wrapped up in those conversations. So when these first two ladies came back, just for a split second, my brain did not register they were the same people. So I turned to them and go, hi, have I signed you guys in? And literally by the time I'm done saying, I'm going, yeah, I have, haven't I? And the thing is, they were clearly a little bit offended by the fact that I just forgot who they were after we had like this 10-minute long conversation. So they were like, yeah, where are your guests? I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. And that made me very nervous about everybody else who came up. I would give them a very long look to be like, do I recognize them? And there was another pair that came up and I was like, have I signed you in? Because they were just the kind of people that, like, they were fine, they're attractive, they don't stand out in a crowd. And, like, yeah, no, they were new. And the ladies I had made the mistake with the first time were like, no, they are new, they haven't been here yet. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit face blind. I will admit the majority of how I recognize people is looking at their clothing. And I tell a funny story from back when I worked at Sears and could never recognize anyone because all the guys that shopped at Sears wore the exact same thing. But everything's fine. We're continuing. It's a bit awkward. Life is fine. Then I go to do the first stop, which before I left the storefront, I counted my guests 3 times because after I made that mistake once, I was terrified that I was going to just not recognize someone and leave someone behind. So not only did I count everyone, I looked everyone in the eye to see what they looked like. And I get to the first stop and I'm doing my story, and 2 more people walk up. And I give them a moment and I'm like, hi, can I help you? Are y'all here for a tour? And they're like, yeah, we already signed in. We got left at the bar. And I'm like, I'm 90% sure I did not sign these people in. But after I made the mistake once, possibly twice, I was not going to say it in front of the group that I'm like, I don't know you people. So it's just like, I'm sorry, I just counted the right number, so I knew I had everybody and headed out. And I sort of look over at the 2 ladies because I know they're the ones who are most likely to, like, take umbrage at this. And they're like, yeah, I guess maybe you just didn't have 23, maybe you had 25. And I'm like, no, I looked at my roster, I had 23. But at that point, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'll finish the story and figure it out afterwards. So I finish the story and I'm heading out, and these new people sort of hover at the back of the group. And from every stop after that, they make sure they are at the back or the middle of the group, pretty far away from me. And at one point, I mentioned the name of the tour in one of the stops, and I immediately see the guy lean over and whisper something to the girl that I would bet my life what he was whispering is, we're on the wrong tour. Because the thing is, no, I checked the roster. I only had 23 people. So what I suspect happened is they were signed up for a different Ghost City tour and they missed that one and didn't realize that they were going on the wrong tour. And like someone had pointed them in my direction as a Ghost City tour guide. But it was super awkward and I kept trying to catch their attention and they left before the end of the tour. So I may have accidentally let those people steal a tour, and I hope I don't get in trouble for it. That's all I can say.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.